We usually talk about modern arcade games on this series, but today we've got something pretty throwback. Spider Stompin' was released back in 1994 by Jaleco. There was also a Whack-A-Mole styled spin-off released the following year, but I believe the original Stompin' game was more successful. This is proven further since Spider Stompin' got a deluxe version another year later. As a small side note, the request for this video was for the deluxe version. I couldn't find that one, but I did read both games' manuals and they are about the same when considering the ticket payouts, and they look pretty similar. I'm sure there are a few small differences overall, but these don't seem big enough to separate the two games. If I manage to find a deluxe version and my current conclusion is wrong, we can do a follow-up video. The basic gameplay loop is simple. You need to stomp on a spider when the red button lights up. The light is only on for a few seconds, so not stomping on it in time will make the game counted as a miss. Yes. It can also spawn multiple lights at once, requiring both your feet to work at the same time. The lights also have a sound cue to help you know when they spawn. The game's manual has a chart for various ticket payouts that can be set, but what should be known is that the maximum from these settings can range anywhere between 5 to 20 tickets. Some of these settings also give a bonus for a 100% stomp rate, so you don't want to miss any spiders. The game also has a difficulty setting. You can choose to play it on one of these three options. The game is very straightforward on easy, while medium speeds it up a bit. Hard mode is like medium, but harder. One thing every difficulty has is a rush mode halfway through. It starts spawning the lights more frequently during this phase. If you're playing on medium or hard, this phase will introduce lights that need to be hit twice to be counted as a stomp. So it's important to be fast so you can see if the light needs a second stomp. Both of these stomps will make a sound cue, which means you can't go off sound alone to confirm if it's a stomped out light. I can't believe I'm saying this, but some of the basic strategies behind games like DDR or Pump It Up are relevant to this game. Your foot placement is very important here, so you'll want your feet to be somewhat neutral on each of the left and right sides. It doesn't make sense for your left foot to reach for a single right-sided light. But if the game does spawn two lights on the same side, you should twist your body so that both feet can get these lights before they despawn. Alternatively, you can do something called double stepping. This is when the same foot gets both lights on the same side, but this is inefficient and generally frowned upon when done in these kinds of games. As much as I want to compare this to the dance rhythm games, Spider Stompin' is far more of an ergonomic nightmare when compared to those games. I understand I'm not the target demographic for this game, but for an adult, this is like playing a dance game while having to stare at the floor. It encourages you to have bad posture to make sure you don't miss a light. Despite this, I still think it's a very fun game. It's really goofy and it has a unique novelty to it. What I want to know more of is the plot for this game. Let's examine the comic strip here. Some kid is trying to stomp on a spider, but his foot gets tickled in retaliation. The unprovoked attack is neutralized by the cowboy spider's courageous lasso to safely de-escalate the situation. And to make sure this never happens again, the spider takes away the kid's weapon. Honestly, I don't want to stomp on any spiders after seeing this. This story is the perfect example of f*** around and find out. Do these spiders really look harmful to you guys? With the exception of the one wielding an explosive device, I'd say these guys look pretty friendly. They aren't the villains in this story. They look like a ragtag group of anti-heroes. You know what? Maybe the demolitions expert is misunderstood. Look how happy the kid is to be here. I'm starting to think spiders have an unfair reputation. They make up a healthy part of your home's ecosystem, so let's stop stomping on them. Okay, it's time to bust out the bad news. This is straight up a D-tier game for this list. Being the 22nd episode in this series, I hope you understand that the purpose of this list is to strictly look at the ticket efficiency. When dealing with games as old as this one, the ticket economy probably looked different back when Spider Stompin' was released. Turns out even arcades are experiencing ticket inflation. If you can find an arcade that has a baseline jackpot of 10 tickets, then yeah, this is going to be a fantastic game to farm. But Spider Stompin' falls into the same camp as games like Piano Keys or Connect 4 Hoops. You generally don't play these for tickets. You play them for the fun of it. If this was a fun tier list, all these games would perform really well, and we would probably need an F tier for some of the other games. But the more we become ticket farming degenerates, the further we are removed from the fun factor of playing these games. That said, give this game a try if you can. Being a game as old as this one, it's going to become harder and harder to find places that have a working copy of it. So please, forget the tickets and enjoy this interesting piece of arcade history.